that's the first thing I started doing before I even forgave my parents. And I was so depressed and suicidal at some times that I just would have to stop in the middle of my job or whatever I was doing and go into the silent prayer. And it really does help. Like, I don't have those anymore.
Amazing. You haven't seen anything yet. Doubt every thought. Bring every thought into captivity. Just let them all pass. Don't judge them. You haven't seen anything. It gets better and better and better and easier, easier, easier. So my gift to you, no charge, at rebuildingtheman.com/church. Check out my book, For Raised to Responsibility. I show you how I was able to overcome anger. The spirit of anger was taken away from me. I had it. And as a result of having anger, I was insecure. I had doubt, worry, fear. I was in a fallen state and didn't know it. And it wasn't until I went and forgave my mother, who tried to turn me away from my father. I forgave my father for not being there and returned back to him. My spirit connected with his spirit, and through him, I was able to return to God. And I have perfect peace. Perfect love casts out anger. And when anger is gone, fear and doubt, worry, insecurity, suicidal thoughts, all of that is gone, and you are free. Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, or if you want an autographed copy, you can go to my website at rebuildingtheman.com or call 800-411-BOND. Steve, thank you for calling and thanks for holding. How have you been helped by the show?
I'm going to tell you this. I believe you might go down in history as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, black man that ever lived on planet Earth, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know anybody before you that's been that great. You know, freeing the slaves is one thing, but you've been freeing people of their mind, which matters, it should be anyhow, to you more than anything else, because with the mind not being right, there ain't nothing else going to happen right anyway.
If you can doubt every thought because you're not your thoughts, if you can doubt every thought, knowing that you're not your thoughts, you don't create them, they're not from God, that they're from the deceiver, the great deceiver, Satan. If you can doubt every thought, you can be free, just like that. At an instant. Bring every thought into captivity. It's so amazing. Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home. That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby. You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room,
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. They don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. What the? Lil Nick. Not right now, Lil Nick. How you doing? I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Appreciate you tuning in on this fine Monday. We're back at it again. And what can I say? It's a pleasure to be back. We got a bit of a show. They're bombing stuff. And we got to know. We got to know they're bombing things, okay? And we got to know. We got to know a little bit. And it's the news. What can I say? It's the news. We're back from this amazing weekend, getting into it this Monday. And it's a pleasure to have you back. If you got something on your mind, something you want to say, you're welcome to call my show, 888-775-3773. We're getting into it today. Number of topics besides Iran and all that, okay? The goose might be a little loose. It's just a little bit loose. It might be a lot loose. But the point is, we're back on this Monday, and there's plenty to talk about, so we'll just get into it. So 888-775-3773. You got something on your mind, something you want to say. Besides that, hello. What's up, my viewers here on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby, punchy.tv/Anchor Baby, and of course, my viewers on YouTube. How you doing, everybody? Pleasure to have you back, okay? What we whispering about? Is my mic really low or something? Test. No, it's not. Mic check. So that's more of a Friday thing. In here, the mics are good. So, what can I say? Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the show. I see your calls coming in and all that. And your support, the super chats, your messages, and everything. We'll get to all of it, okay? I see you. You're seen. You're seen, people. You're seen, you're heard. Thormode, Falconing, Zazen, Cloud, Albert, Mark, Jas, Lord of the Pies, Lincoln, Double Edge. I heard Double Edge, you've been through some way, shape, or form, you've been I heard you've been augmenting my IQ, so I appreciate that, Double Edge. I don't know how you're doing it, but thank you, everybody. AG, Imperfect Citizen, Mr. Pink, everybody. Welcome to the show. Okay, don't be rude. Say hello. Okay, I'll come in. I sat down. I'm doing what I do. And you're here doing what you do every day. Some of you might be new, and that's fine. Some of you might be new, and that's fine. You don't have to do much. You could come in and just kind of take it in. But don't be rude. You know, you guys come in here and you're not going to hit the like button. You're not going to say hello. You're not going to leave a comment. Do something. Do something. Have an opinion. Live a little. It's like you're breathing. Are you even breathing? Are you even alive? Wake up. Click the like button. Okay? Don't be rude. Honestly, folks, the first thing I'm getting into is Iran, news, etc. I think I heard the Hake report mention Drudge report. And then I had to do a bunch of things. So I'm not sure. Did Hake talk about the strike? Doesn't matter. Here, how about this? Let me just give you the news, because many will talk about it, right? Sure, you heard it first from Hake, maybe. Amazing show. But we're talking about strikes. Did anything hit the U.S. base? They're saying no, but we're getting these early breaking reports of apparently Iranian missiles flying over Qatar and U.S. air defenses. These air defenses have been reportedly activated to defend against these missiles that are allegedly from Iran to U.S. bases. And so here are some of the initial reports we're getting here. And people have been waiting on this, right? This has been the big topic. Will the U.S. join a war? Will it be a war? What will happen? What will happen? Predictions everywhere, all sorts of stuff. But they're saying that's what they're saying. You're seeing this now. Let me see if I could just at least show you the beautiful footage, or should I just say awesome footage? Awesome because it's awe-inducing. You know what I'm saying? So let me unmute this so we could just take it in a little bit on this day, on this Monday, June 23rd. Yeah, I hear the Islam in Qatar is different. It's not your average Islam. Or is it becoming your average Islam? I don't know. I'm learning a lot about the Muslim world, besides what I grew up with over in Canada. But these are some of these incredible sights. people are fearful of what may come, but this is some of that footage, right? And I see calls coming in. I will get to all of you. Thank you. 888-775-3773. We're getting some reports from Fox.
No casualties.
This is just a little 10-second excerpt from a report that was going on earlier. But this is Fox News.
Also saying no casualties in the attack on the U.S. military base either. So it would seem that maybe...
Sorry, let me make this a little bit more accurate because it's just a little excerpt from a Fox News report. But in this Fox News report, they are reporting on this breaking news that is being reported by Iranian state TV. So you understand I think some people call it the fog of war. You understand the fog of information here. I guess we're waiting to get total confirmations. They may already be coming down now. But that's what I'm showing you here. They're saying no casualties.
Also saying no casualties in the attack on the U.S. military base either. So it would seem that maybe, and we hope fortunately, none of the missiles actually hit the ground. Also saying no casualties in the attack on the U.S. military base.
Okay, sorry. So no casualties. These are some of the reports. That's that attack that was that the U.S. bases were preparing for after this, right? Incredible news over the weekend that the U.S. striked Iranian nuclear facilities, right? The U.S. did that with stealth bombers, dropping these 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs. I think even for the first time, this is all new. And that was the big operation, going after these deeply embedded nuclear facilities, they say, that are underground and Isfahan, right? Natanz and all that. And this was like major news. It's like, wow, are we joining a war? They're saying no. They're saying no. And there were, of course, reports of the incoming Iranian retaliation. And you know, when I'm reading and listening to different war people, like foreign policy people, these people that know these things, and I say no with an asterisk. You know, I say no because they've just been following these things for a while. They call them experts. You know how experts are, right? You can admit, you can say that they're an expert in some certain field, but if you're at all smart, you would allow even the experts' opinions to go in one ear, out the other. And just watch. Unless you know, maybe you know. That's why you could call me, right? I'll tell you what I know. But so they're saying no casualties. This was an expected response. And as I was about to say, when it comes to this war stuff, it sounds like this is how it goes. You attack, you have to attack back. You have to do these things. You're in a conflict. You're in a conflict, and the stakes is everything. At least in some cases, right? To Iran, for example, to the people in power in Iran, it would mean losing their power. They're talking about regime change. Now, from who, from where? I guess it all remains to be seen. Many say that big signs are pointing to U.S. involvement, but Israel is open about that, and they openly want that regime change in Iran. They got enemies over there, and they don't want them. So it comes down to this Iranian strike, right? They're saying that they sent these missiles. We're getting some early reports here. I don't know if it's even fair to call it early reports, but yeah, it's early to me. And they're saying that Iran coordinated attacks on this U.S. airbase in Qatar with Qatari officials, providing advance notice to minimize casualties. And this is actually according to the New York Times. We're starting to get some official reports here. So yeah, according to the New York Times, Iran coordinated these attacks with Qatar to minimize casualties. Now, that was an interesting thing to me to read as a person who, you know, taking this bird's eye view of this and taking it in. Is this? I think this is like the first. I think you could say for the Anchor Baby, this might be like a first, the first president and war that I'm like watching. I guess Russia too, but so I'm just watching. You understand? And And Iran is saying that they gave advance notice. I had so many questions about that. Like, in a war, why would you want to do that? Why in a war, why would you want to do that? That was my first question. And you can imagine, you can gather some things. Here's some. I don't know. I'm sure you can gather some things, but according to anti-war writers, some competitors out there, Infowars, people that have watched this stuff, foreign policy. I read a couple of things here, and out there's some thoughts about this. I mean, besides about Iran trying to minimize casualties. I mean, in general, this is not an unheard of thing. In general, in terms of foreign policy and war, and it's not unheard of. Okay, it's totally strategic. Okay, some say Qatar, for example, they have, for example, Iran and Qatar. Let me just pull up a map. Here's what I'm trying to say. They're saying the reports is that Iran and Qatar share energy. They share oil. You understand? They share the world's largest natural gas field, as Yahoo reports. And so it's a matter of strategy. You start bombing. Qatar also is friendly with the U.S. As you see, they have U.S. bases in Qatar. So what happens if you're Iran and you start just sending missiles over? And you start attacking these bases. You start attacking these bases that are near infrastructure, or near important things that the Qataris own. Well, it's called collateral damage, and it could create problems between the relationship between Iran and Qatar. So, some bring that up. Some bring that up as a way to understand why Iran, right? Iran, this crazy nutso regime that's ready to destroy everybody. I can believe it. I'm just saying, I'm watching this, and they're here strategizing, allegedly. So they share this oil field, and you want to be talking with your buddies that you share energy with when you're doing big things. Basically, that's how it goes in the world. You want to you do something, and you do something without telling your buddy, Qatar in this case, and you just don't know how that might go down. Maybe Qatar didn't like that. Hey, why didn't you tell us, right? So that's some of the thinking. Some of the other thinking is essentially that Iran doesn't want this conflict to get any bigger with the U.S. And I mean, in terms of just not being annihilated, yeah, that's a pretty good strategy, right? Let's not piss off the U.S. too much, or too early, or too fast, or whatever. So you can imagine that's not totally unfounded in the realm of expert predictions, optics. Okay, you get it? So these are the strategies that are being played, I think, in this game of war, okay? And they're minimizing these casualties, etc. And where was I? I see calls coming in I want to get to here. 888-775-3773. Where was I here? That's just the news here. And that's it. That's really just the news. At this point, I want to show you this clip. And it's of Trump. It's Trump in 2016. And he's talking about Iran. Or was this in 2015? My apologies. This was early. He's talking about Iran and how we shouldn't get involved with Iran, essentially. And he's so funny in this. It's so interesting what I almost don't remember this. I don't think I ever saw this. I mean, I saw him run early on, but I didn't see every speech, everything. But I remember, I think I kind of remember maybe seeing this. He talked about Iran and the women in Iran, and in his estimation, how he sees those people. Okay, now this was some years ago, but let's take it in for just a moment so I can speak freely on what I'm thinking here.
We're not going to have our own freedom. They don't want freedom. It's like I saw somebody, I won't even say because it's embarrassing. We want it where the women over there don't have to wear the you-know-what. And then I said, oh, well, that makes sense. That's nice. Then I saw women interviewed. They said, we want to wear them. We've worn them for 1,000 years. Why would anybody tell us not to? They want to. What the hell are we getting involved for? In fact, it's easier. You don't have to put up makeup. Look how beautiful everyone looks. Wouldn't it be easier? Wow. Right? Wouldn't that be easy? I'll tell you, if I was a...
Trump, the ladies don't know what they want, okay? We need to liberate them. Sorry, no, that's confusing. I'm just messing around.
woman, I don't want to... Wow. I'm ready,
Wow.
darling. Let's go.
I'm ready, darling. Wow. You know, I grew up with Muslim women. I grew up with, in Canada, there was a lot of diversity, for better or for worse. And I remember there was a specific moment when these like floodgates opened, and suddenly, besides the already diverse Canada I was growing up in, suddenly there were some really, really foreign people, like just totally different, eating with their hands different, totally covered head to, like just different. But I made friends, you know. I started schooling in Canada as like grade 5. So I made friends. I got to know a lot of people over the years. I think if I remember in this one bill, I was living in Mississauga in Ontario, Canada. And I was living in an apartment building with the fam, right? Not as a kid. And there was a park at that complex. And I remember getting in the debate. What was I doing getting in a debate? Like a little kid, like, what an ego. But getting in a debate with some hijabed woman, some girl. She was a girl at the park. And basically she told me she loved all this stuff. Not loved it, but, you know, she believed it, essentially. I mean, whatever I was saying to her was what was taught to me. It's really no different, her saying that back to me. No, I want to wear this. No, but but that's wrong, right? Well, what was I debating? I don't even remember, but whatever I was saying was really no different than this girl. 2 kids regurgitating what we've been taught. I'm not even making a moralistic statement about that. Okay, what am I getting at? I played you the clip. Here's what I'm getting at. It's like, I watch Trump, and I get this. This makes sense to me. And then the years have gone by, and now there's this news, and it's like Trump, and they're bombing Iran, and all this is happening. And I'm willing to say that there is something I don't understand. I'm willing to be shown different and convinced, or whatever. Maybe Trump got in there, got his hands on the security apparatus, so to speak, and then what? Realized what? Iran is a big enemy? Maybe. I believe it. But I'm still just me. I'm just the anchor baby. And so I'm waiting to learn lessons from all this. So I'm just going to be honest with all of you, right? I'm waiting to learn lessons from all this. And as it remains, I guess we're waiting and seeing, right? As it remains, it seems like that's not what he wants.
Always a peacemaker. That doesn't mean sometimes you need some toughness to make peace, but always...
Just take this in for a moment.
Do you think deportations should... president to be that of a peacemaker? Do you worry that striking Iran would change that?
Always a peacemaker. That doesn't mean sometimes you need some toughness to make peace, but always a peacemaker.
Can you win in Iran without ground forces?
Say it.
Is an aerial campaign in Iran enough, or do you need ground forces?
Well, I'm not going to talk about ground forces. The last thing you want to do is ground forces.
Does Iran have 2 weeks, or could you strike before that? Are you essentially giving them a 2-week timeline?
We're giving them a period of time. We're going to
Right, this is before the bomb, right?
see what that period of time...
We're going to give them a period of time. Nope. In terms of military operations and strategies, I guess you got to say amazing, right? That's how you win, right? That's how you be brutal. That's how you be brutal, right? The fog of war. Oh, okay. All right, Iran, Iranians are like, okay, we got 2 weeks. What are we going to do? Actually, we got bombed. Yeah, that's how it works. That being said, he's saying no ground forces. This was right before the bomb and all that, but you gotta. It seems like this is the position the Trump administration and some in there are. They remain with this. Okay, you understand? That's the word, right? So I guess even to this point, we still cannot say that Trump started some war or anything. I'll tell you why I'm not sitting around, but I'll tell you why I'm just waiting and seeing to learn lessons from all this, because I see things like this. And these are people around Trump. You just saw Trump, and in that clip, if you could disagree, I see his character. When he's saying about having to be tough sometimes, he strikes me as someone who lives in reality, who lives in the real world. But I also see things of the people around him. You could say Trump too, but I'm showing you J.D. Vance right now. And I don't know, comments like this don't seem based in reality. Like he's about to tell NBC News about how we're at war with the Iranian nuclear program, not Iran.
States now at war with Iran.
Sorry, I started that off funny. Here.
Is the United States now at war with Iran?
No, Kristen, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program. And let me just say, Kristen, that we're incredibly grateful and proud of the American Air Force pilots who did an incredible job last night. The operation was really extraordinary. These guys flew from Missouri. They didn't land a single time. They dropped 30,000-pound bombs on a target the size of a washing machine, and then got back home safely without ever landing in the Middle East or ever stopping other than to briefly refuel. And of course, they did that in the air. So it's really an incredible operation, a testament to the power of American military. And I think what shows what can happen when you have that great American military in the hands of capable presidential leadership.
I just want to play a bit, some details of the operation, but the commentary was right at the beginning. I'm sure you heard. Is the U.S. at war? J.D. Vance responds, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with the Iranian nuclear program. Which is like, what? To me, it's like, what kind of comment is that? It's like a, I don't know. I don't know if it's based in reality, but I'm waiting and seeing, because what can you say? There's evidence, right, of previous military movements by Trump that really were limited as they describe them, right? They're wondering, will this be a limited strike, right? Meaning 1, 2, whatever, a few, but no boots on the ground or war, or will this be a protracted conflict, etc. So what can I say? I'm waiting to see lessons from this, because that doesn't make sense to me, right? I'm going to take out my gun. I'm going to be like, hey, drop the weapon. And they're like, well, why you want to fight me? No, I don't want to fight you. I'm fighting your gun. So drop your gun and everything you have, and give me all your stuff. It doesn't make sense. So, what can I say on this topic? I'm not coming at this from like a like I know everything, because everyone is saying something about this, obviously, but yet I'll find stuff like this, right? I think I saw this. I'm glad to see it again to remind me. This is Kamala Harris, right? I'll just let it play. She's talking about Iran nuclearizing.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands, okay? This attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
So if you have proof that Iran is building a nuclear weapon, would you take military action?
I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals at this moment.
Well, I guess you left that open-ended, right? But she there is naming Iran as an enemy. So it's like everybody names Iran as an enemy. Left, right, Democrat, Republican, Obama, Bush, decades ago, years ago, yesterday. What does that say to me as the anchor baby just watching all this? It says to me that not everybody knows what they're talking about when they come out saying with this huge dissent, like, we made a mistake with the right wing, with the Republicans. It tells me that they're thinking, it tells me that not everybody knows what they're talking about, because we're living in America, in a world where the world has been running before I've been even around. In some cases, maybe even before Trump. And in many ways, the public is not privy to these decisions, and these decisions are done. These decisions have been done long before us. I don't know what to tell you besides that. about war and all that. It tells me that not everybody even gets it, because some think, some want to dissent and say, "Oh, we should do nothing with Iran." And then when you look into it, even the people, even the like really smart experts who are against this Iran stuff, when you dig, they do think something must be done. So so what does that tell me? It tells me that I didn't know everything. I didn't know everything about this. See, I'm thinking the dissent, that there's a pathway to totally ignoring Iran. And it turns out nobody's thinking that. Like none of the smart people, none of the people with the money, none of the people in the news, no one's even thinking like that. It's just like some people online. Anyways, so I do understand some of the criticisms, because when you realize that they're really just quibbling about details about when to fight Iran and how, not even like philosophically that you shouldn't. You then realize that, well, then what the people in America are fighting for are like domestic issues. And you got to wonder, like, okay, fine, you guys want to do all that? There was never saying no to that in the first place. It remains then that the people here are not happy. They're not happy, whether right or wrong. But they're thinking, how is it still that the streets are a mess, homeless everywhere? It's they call it a housing crisis. They call it a housing crisis, but also a population crisis. They call it they say Iran is gonna Islam. They say Islam is gonna overrun Europe, overrun America. And I'm looking at videos of Michigan. And people are protesting in like full hijab and niqab. And you think to yourself, wow, look at the people of Iran. Look at the people of Iran fighting and they hate America. We can't let these people overrun us. Islam overrunning Christian America. What is this? And you realize you're looking at a video of Michigan. And so, of course, as a person, as the anchor baby sitting here, I find it hard to say, okay, well, yes, we must do this to Iran to keep back Islam. Folks, I'm showing you a video of Michigan. Is it true? Would fighting Iran keep back Islam? I'd be ready to believe it, but I'm saying that I'm an open-minded person. But look at this. How am I going to care about that? Look, this is Michigan. It's not that big of a crowd. Black Lives Matter, J6, anti-COVID, that dwarfs this, right? Anyway, I don't know why I'm... Side note, don't worry about that. But okay. So I hear that refrain. We got to keep back Islam and Muslim. It's like I'm feeling like I don't want to believe or trust or talk to anybody like that when I see videos like this. So that's where I'm coming at it from. We're waiting and seeing. I gave you some of the news on the strikes and some of the anchor baby's thoughts. There's plenty to get into today's show. We'll move on here. There'll still be more about all this, I'm sure. But that was kind of that segment, okay? We're a little loosey-goosey today. I got calls. I want to get to all of you. 888-775-3773. I got calls and super chats and all that. Let me get to William, number 7, out of California. How you doing, sir? You're on the air. William, number 7, on
Hello?
the air.
Hey there, Nick.
How you
How's
doing,
it
William?
going? Can you hear me all right?
Coming in clear. Thanks, William.
Oh, excellent. Hey, I just wanted to shout out to you because I was watching your church yesterday. I was watching it later in the evening. I was outside and my earpiece was in and I left my phone in the house. and I heard normally, when you guys are talking, it's talking, and all of a sudden I heard banging and hitting, and then next thing I hear you saying, just lay down, it's all right, and then I hear this breathing, and I'm like, what the? So I knew something had happened because that was really odd, and it was a recording. So I'm running into my house to find my phone so I could see what was actually going on, and before I could find it, I think Jesse was talking, and he was like, what the? So when I I rewound it, and it even showed the kid what was going on, because I'm also an ex-first responder. And so I just wanted to tell you, good job. You were obviously pretty close, and you were paying attention, and you really probably did from keeping Jesse from hitting that ground and hitting his head. And Jesse's aware of it. Obviously, I listened to the show earlier this morning. So he's aware you did a good job, and I just wanted to talk about that a bit, if you didn't mind.
Man, thank you, William. No problem at all.
Okay. So I heard some calls, and basically...
Oh, like you want to talk further about it? I mean, sure, go ahead.
Yes, because...
I thought that's all you wanted to say. No, but thank you for that. No problem.
No. I mean, that's it for an attaboy for you, because you did a good job, and I don't want to,
Hey, I just... it's funny, people were coming up to me like, Nick, they were saying all sorts of things. And someone had said like, oh, no, that was awareness. That was God or something like that. But it is kind of interesting because, I mean, I just looked, and I was looking, and it didn't look right. And then that caused me to react. I mean, who was it really that did anything?
It reminded me of that Superman trailer when he protects the little girl from all those exploding canisters. You were kind of like that.
I had never seen that. But right on, man.
But anyway, so basically, three things happened with JLP from what I have heard and listening to JLP's own words from the first 3 hours of his show.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he drinks coffee, and he's not big on water. So coffee will dehydrate you. And so a good rule of thumb that I've been in practice for a while is for every cup of coffee you drink, after that, drink that amount in water to balance out your fluid level in your blood. And the fact that he was standing up is true. I noticed basically because his knees were locked. I actually rewound it again and watched, and his knees were locked. And I remember at the beginning of the show, he was told he was going to stand today. So he normally doesn't stand, so he's not used to that.
Right.
The second thing is third thing, he said he was getting hot. So when you get hot, in order to, because with those lights and he was wearing that jacket, your body, what it does to cool yourself, the reason why you sweat is your capillaries, which are the blood vessels closest to the skin, they dilate, which means they expand.
Of course.
And so what that does, it causes water to escape into the air, the evaporation effect, which is what cools you. Unfortunately, when it does, it increases the volume that your capillaries and blood vessel system, it enlarges it. So if you're dehydrated, it actually drops your blood pressure.
Right, of course.
So when you do all three of those, and he locked his knees, that's what made him pass out. And thank God it was slow enough, and you were there. And the fact that he recovered so quickly, and was just fine, that's actually evidence and maybe proof that it wasn't a blood sugar problem, because if it's a blood sugar problem, he wouldn't have came back until he had some sugar or glycogen.
That's what someone told me.
Or something like that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I was thinking similar. Yeah. It came on and left so fast that it was a lapse of pressure, but I don't know.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. So yeah. So again, I just wanted to share my knowledge. Like I said, I was in the military for 14 years and was an MP, but also a lot of medical training. And then when I got out, I was a first responder, which is basically equal to an EMT, just without the ambulance hours, but it's the same study and lesson plan. You just don't have the OJT with it.
And
so,
and a drop in blood pressure would cause. Now, I'm not saying a drop in blood pressure is insignificant, but what I'm asking is, does a drop in blood pressure would affect anybody that way, right?
Well, it would because,
Doesn't
again, because you
necessarily
also got to take
indicate-
into account of gravity. And what happens is because of the blood. So basically, the fact that his capillaries expanded, that means there was more. His body was able to hold more blood, but the fact that he was hot, they expanded.
Of course, you
He
got
had
the
to
tube.
hydrate
You got
himself a
the
little
tube.
bit.
You make the tube bigger, and you're gonna have less pressure.
Yes, exactly. And so what happens is, guess where it drains from first? The top of the head, where the brain's at, and that's why that's why his nerves gave out.
Mm-hmm.
The brain is the central nervous system. So unfortunately, that's what happens. But the fact that he came due, because as soon as you laid him down, I think you raised his legs. That's what you should have done, was raise his legs.
Oh, raise them? No, it's just his
Yeah.
legs were folded funny. So I'm like, hey, put his legs up. Put his legs up.
Yeah, again, I couldn't see, but because it like usually you don't know what's happening, but the fact that he recovered and that he was fine, that tells you it wasn't a blood sugar problem. But had it been a blood sugar problem, you would have had and I would tell you, if someone's unconscious, you don't try to give them something to drink. So you would rip open a sugar packet, put it under their tongue, and their saliva would slowly melt it, and it would get in their blood system that way, and you wouldn't worry about them choking.
Well, fair
You
enough.
never give liquid. You don't give liquid to someone who's
Okay, good.
unconscious. Yeah. So you did a very good job. Like I said, the fact that and I knew he was all right because I thought about it. I'm like, wait, this is a replay. So if it was really serious, there wouldn't be 20 minutes left.
Right.
so that's how I kind of knew that. Even though I didn't see it coming, I just heard it and then had to run into the house to see what the, I literally was like, what the,
Nice.
So yeah, so there you go, man.
Appreciate it, William.
I think I hope I explained that all
No,
correctly.
I got the info is there, man, and I'm glad for the info. I'll pass it along.
Yeah, and Jesse's right on. I do not trust doctors. I don't like going to the VA, but because that's all they do. They want to push pills, and all they wanted of me was to call the 800 number so I'd have pills for life, and I didn't do that. All they cared about was that and not about the side effects. So, to me, that just lets me know what doctors are. Yeah. So I totally agree with Jesse, and so I'm glad it all worked out. And just tell him to watch his hydration, and I guess that's
for
we'll
sure.
Go from there.
Yeah, William.
All right,
I'll pass
man.
it along.
Well, peace out.
I know everybody cares about
everybody out
Jesse,
there.
so I know that's why you guys are calling.
Well, yeah,
Totally.
like I said, there. Who knows? We don't know if we have tomorrow, right?
Well, thank you, William. Call me again.
All right, man. Peace out.
888-775-3773. You guys really want to hear about this? You guys are on the chat asking me to tell you more. There's nothing to say, okay, folks? There's nothing to say. No reason to replay this a million times, right? It's nothing. It's over. It's fine. But you guys are all in the chat. You're like, Nick, you got 170 people who want to hear about this. What do you want? There's nothing else to say. There's nothing else to know. But I appreciate everybody. I know you guys are just concerned and all that. But it's fine. Everything's fine. I don't know if there's anything else to say. Your experience. What do you want to? You want me to explain my experience, my view of this? I saw the guy and I just started sweating, and I'm like, okay, now I'm looking, and then I'm like, well, this doesn't look right. I got closer, and I'm like, okay, this really doesn't look right. And I jumped up. That's it. And we are here for a show. Fair enough. Yeah. I saw him sweaty. I was like, I'm gonna give him a paper towel. Wait, hold up. Right? And then I jumped down, and then I'm like, put his legs out. And then I'm like, get a fan. I'm like, because I remember when I was a degenerate. Okay, I'm now a Christian. Okay, look at me. You're seeing a Christian right now, but I was a degenerate, and I would induce hypoxia by various means. Usually by smoking cigarettes and marijuana, okay? When you combine them and you take a big enough toke, you actually induce hypoxia. You have like a lowered amount of oxygen to the brain. I don't think people know that that's what they're doing to themselves, but I gathered that that's what I was doing because I'm like, this is not the pot or the cigarette doing this. I'm like it's a weird out of breath thing, and I'm like lightheaded. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, what? That's not the cigarette. This is like hypoxia. I'm like losing oxygen to the brain. So out of so much experience inducing hypoxia, I just knew that a fan blowing in my face brought me back to life. So I started blowing on. I was like, was like, Jesse, you hear me? But that's it. That's the story. I mean, I'll tell you that. You guys apparently want to hear it. I don't really think there's much else to say. I feel a little strange. Honestly, going further on this. So we're gonna move on a bit. I know you got super chats. If you guys mention it, I don't mind. I'm just saying, I just don't know how to approach this. It feels a little strange, but that's it. That's what happened. That's what's up. Okay. What is hypoxia? Hypoxia is a lack of oxygen to the brain, or a lowered amount of oxygen to the brain. That's what being hypoxic means. Hypoxia. It might happen to pilots, for example, when they're too high up, and something is wrong with the plane, and you just don't have oxygen in the cabin. Pilots are trained to recognize the symptoms of hypoxia, which is a deprivation of adequate oxygen to supply to a region of the body, usually the brain, as far as I know. And yeah, so that's hypoxia. That's what hypoxia is. It's like a lowered. It makes you feel lightheaded. That's why I recognize it too. It makes you're just really lightheaded and you lose vision too because you're passing out. You're not getting oxygen. That's what hypoxia is. So no, I didn't make it up. It's a real word. It's a medical thing. Look, I gotta Google it for Kevin Howe because I look like a dummy. Hypoxia. Okay? I swear. I'm telling the truth. I got calls coming in, 888-775-3773. I'm laughing at some of your chats here. I do want to let's do some super chats and more calls. We got more show for you. Number of things to get into. Are you guys happy with that? Is that enough for you? Did you need more from me? God owes you one because you saved it. Nick saved America. Stop it. Okay, what's up, Sion? Nice to see you there. Linyan Chin with the super chat says, breathing through the mouth equals not following Christ, but mama. Hypoxia happens when your mastery of breath, blood, and intent are weak. Get stronger. Shout out Linyan Chin. Making sense. John Zimmer with a super chat says, yep, the battle is within. Many are fooled by the repeating, unchanged drama. Silly times, yet all is well outside of the lie. Appreciate that, John. Linyan Chen with the earlier super chat says 3 weeks out from return to cardiovascular integrity level 2. Each level raises strength upper limit. Level 2 allows 500 pounds. Level 3 allows 750 pounds. So you're reaching level 2. And when you say 500 pounds, you mean like 500 pounds of like a lift, of a certain lift? Yeah, your cardiovascular, your nervous system, fascinatingly, contributes to the collection to your strength. Essentially, you think, "Wow, it's just the muscle," but no, it's all trained in concert. Even the how the electrical signals pass through your body has to improve for you to be able to lift that weight. But anyways, that's called progressive overload. Anyways, Eli with a super chat, thank you, says U.S. never had enemies with the Muslim world before Israel. Is that true? I'm not saying it's not. It's just that I'm peeling back the layers, and I just haven't gotten there yet. You know, because I keep hearing about Iran being so free, and they didn't wear all these hijabs before the Islamic the revolution took over. So I'm peeling back those layers, and I come to learn, though, that, and I'm not saying this is bad. Like, this is a terrible thing I learned. If you ask me, I like dominating the world. But that's apparently what it was. The Shah of Iran, was installed by the U.S., apparently, allegedly. And so my question is, what was all that before, right? Because they say it was in the 70s, around that time, when the Shah was in place and had a Western bend to it, if I may. That the Islamists took over, revolted, they had a revolution, and they took those hostages, right? So I would like, I'm peeling back the layers. I'll let you know what amazing things we learn about life in the world. But yeah, I don't. My question right now, the question I still have is, what was all that like before that? Even before the Shah, what was happening then? Mark, appreciate the super chat. Says for the hero funds, and with a strong arm and a heart, a prayer hand, and a light bulb. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you always supporting, man. Thank you. Amazing. So we got coffee still and other supporters. Let me just finish these because I want to get back to my calls. I do want to get back to my calls. Hey, Alex, appreciate all the coffees. Buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby. That's actually really generous, man, and I appreciate that. I think with this many coffees, let me see. I'd say this whole table would be filled up with the coffees you just gave me. And I think we got to put a few on like that speaker over there. I think a few we might have some overflow that have to go over there. So Alex, very generous, man. Thank you so much for the coffee. Says, been meaning to send you some support for a while. After seeing you support Jesse from Hitting the Floor at Fellowship this Sunday, I had to send you some Alpha Treasure. Thank you, Nick. You have been amazing friends to myself and many others. I wish you well, man. Well, I appreciate that, Alex. Thanks for the support, man. I'll keep doing the show, man. I appreciate that. Let's keep it up. Eric Harlan with some coffees. Thanks for the generous donation. Says, great catch, Nick. That high IQ paid off. Thank you. Yeah, is it IQ? What did it? What did it, folks? Because it's like, who acted? Who acted is the operative question. Sion with a couple of... Sion, thank you for the coffee. Says, aw. That's all she wrote. But yeah, that operative, I think the question is, who really acted? Who acted? Because I just saw something funny that caused me. Anyway, I don't want to get into it. It caused me to act. All right, folks. Appreciate the super chats. In fact, another one here. Lin Yen Chin. Appreciate that. Says, breathing through the mouth equals... Oh, no. I already read that. Sorry, this is from Lin Yen Chin, and it reads, the Barbary States decapitated American pilots in the 1800s and had to be punished by the U.S. at the time. Terrorists have been at Europe's for long. See, this is the kind of stuff I'm trying to... These are the conversations I want to have, Lin Yen Chin. See, this is the kind of stuff I want to be... Because it's so easy right now to just say, oh, it's just so easy right now to say, to make like a very blanket, easy statement on what should happen with the world, okay? And I can, and even if I find it weird to see a JD say, we're not at war with Iran, even though I find it weird, the Ted Cruz thing and AIPAC, and it's like, okay, did you see Tammy Bruce? We'll get into that in a moment here. We have American politicians out there saying, yeah, Israel is the greatest country. America is second to Israel. It's like, you could believe that. You could love Israel, but it's like, you're an elected American official. Look, so even though all that is like, whoa, and it's making all sorts of people make quick statements online, it's stuff like this that I appreciated. So thank you, Lin Yen Chin, because I'm telling you, we don't really know about the world at large, right? Like beyond, like, if it's right or wrong to get with Iran, to like start fighting Iran, To me, when you ask the anchor baby that, I have to square that with what's happening in America. And if like Iran is a big enemy and it must be taken down, then, hey, American elites, may I, peasant American anchor baby, yell at you for just a moment? Hey, American elites, fine. You know what? I can even be convinced Iran is a big enemy. But y'all don't need to even do that. Like, unless I'm wrong here, it's just, it can wait. It can wait. You have priorities. But hey, I don't know. I'm not running the security apparatus. This is how I feel. But what was I doing here? I think I was responding to the super chat. Yeah, the Barbary States. Yeah, there's so much we don't know. And those that have been running civilization and their families do so for a reason. And we don't for a reason. Call me an elitist cuck. But it's just like these are the anyway, now I'm just rambling about my thoughts of the world. Let's do some calls and news and stuff. Let's anchor ourselves down here because there's this New York mayoral race that I find interesting. This guy, Mamdani, have you heard of this guy? He's like a total socialist. But he's based. Look, we'll get into it. There's this guy running for, it looks like he's about to run the biggest city in America. Something I keep hearing. And he's an interesting guy. So we'll get into it. We'll see what you guys think. I want to get to Robert out of Kansas. Appreciate it, Robert. You're on the air.
Oh, hey, Nick, brother.
How you doing, sir? Go ahead.
Hey, man, I saw what you did at church there, and you caught your friend, and that's all we can do. If you were falling down next to me, brother, I'd try to lay you down and not let you fall like that. So
thank you, man.
That was great. And I don't know what that was, man. Maybe like your intuition. It's kind of a female word, but maybe you just kind of. You just kind of knew, not necessarily that.
Right. Yeah,
that you're so great. You're not great or smart or anything. You were just like, what is? I've seen Jesse a few times. What is wrong with him? And you just kind of knew. So
exactly.
No, that was excellent, man. And hey, Nick, while I'm calling, bro, and I won't take up all your time. I just, how physically you had to do that. You had to go and, do what you had to do.
Mm.
And as a fan of JLP for many, many years, I guess what I'm going to ask you to do is to go ahead and do that in every way. Because you can, right? And you have the ability. And, Nick, if if anyone hosted church, not that Jesse wouldn't be there, but maybe you could help conduct the church, such that Jesse can be there and he can, obviously it's his, right? Not, you can't, you're not taking anything away from him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, bro, I don't know who else can do it. So maybe that would be something. And when I talked to Derek, right, my idea, you had another caller, I forget which show, I forget when, but he was talking about codifying a message such that the things that Jesse's been putting out over the decades would be codified into like a core, thing that Bond could work off of, so that you have all the content, so you can obviously get the information, but then to codify it into principles of like, the order of God, maybe starting with that. And then, on from there, such that, if you need to, you can refer back to this, that you don't have to maybe rely on Jesse because you've already done the work to make something that, I'm not trying to tell you to take over, Nick. I'm saying you might have to. And then if you have to, then if you do the right thing and you work with your brothers, and it will be something that will become yours, and don't think of it as taking something from Jesse. You can't take anything from Jesse. You can only try to preserve what he has done for us. So I think you're the right man for the job, Nick. Maybe you're not, maybe somebody else, and I would hope that you would pick that man. You see, that you would say, okay, somebody else do this. If Jesse's fallen out at church, maybe you have him in a chair and maybe you're up there, Nick, and you are saying, okay, let's get a question from, this person. And then, so I don't know how all that works. I know you have hate, right? If you have a hate, you got a hate, and that's good. So you can utilize hate, and I was telling him to utilize you. And if you guys can work together, if you can work together and be brothers, that's it's going to be critical. So And you guys are talking about oxygen. Well, you're talking about alkalization of the body. Oxygen, you're telling Jesse to breathe. Oxygen alkalizes your body. Like, that's what oxygen
is that so?
does. Yeah, so like just breathing, like you want the ultimate nutrient you can get. It's called oxygen. So when you had Jesse just breathing, you lay him down, you say, hey, just breathe. And, it does what it does. It's so complicated and complex, the human system, that I can't explain it on the phone today. But it is, oxygen is what it does what it does. Just like people talk about magnesium, potassium. I don't know if Jesse has high blood pressure, low blood pressure, anything like that. But everything does what it does. And if you want to actually correct the body, that drugs are not going to take you where you need to be. It is about nutrients. But then, for me as a trainer, someone who's trained people, there are reasons to fast. Like if there is something that takes place when you fast as well. And so it's like, it could be a lack of nutrients, and so it's like a really fine line of, okay, so if you're fasting, you're not taking in any nutrients, but fasting does what it does. Literally will reverse your age. Okay. So, it's very complicated, and just like this Iran thing.
But you're saying but you're saying that the fasting could help essentially.
Well, fasting does what it does. Like when these people are calling in and they're like, "Have you had an electrolyte panel, Jesse? Have you utilized the doctors?" That's the thing. You can use the doctors. Okay, you don't trust them. Don't give them your money. Don't think that they're going to tell you the right thing to do. But you can utilize the medical industry in the way that you can to see, okay, I have no magnesium in my body, so I need some magnesium.
I hear you.
I have no potassium. My uncle has high blood pressure. I try to tell him, hey, have you heard about potassium? And he's like, well, you're not a doctor. And it's like, okay. But potassium exists, right? Like, do you know what it does as far as high blood pressure? Do you know what nitric oxide is? If I tell you to eat a watermelon, it's not because I hate you, because you have high blood pressure. So
I think you've been clear. I think that somewhat makes sense. You're saying to utilize this to know more about what's happening with your body and what deficiencies that you can correct yourself so that you may know for yourself. I think I can understand that message. I appreciate the info here a bit, Robert.
If you're lucky enough to have a doctor, sir, you can utilize them to say, hey, I want an electrolyte panel. And if you find out that you have no calcium in your body, well, then there you go. I mean, it's so you can test all your levels. And yeah. And hey, Nick, as far as this Iran thing, dude, I'm thinking as a military guy.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, like we have this problem with who? Like China. We have these other problems. So like, what if we just gave Japan a military again?
Like America gave it to them?
Well, no.
Or let them have one? Yeah, are they not allowed to have one?
Remilitarize. China's a problem. And you could do that anywhere, right? Like if you made Turkey, right? Like if you made Turkey the boss.
Yeah.
And Turkey had all the weapons. And you could just say, hey, Iran, calm down. Turkey messed you up. And it's like a theory of like you're setting in place like these other, like let's say Taiwan and Japan were allies.
Wait, slow down for a sec, because actually you confused me with the words here. But are you essentially getting at checks, basically having checks? Like, what do they call that in foreign policy game theory? When you have nations that check each other, is that what you're talking about? Like empower one nation. Let's say you have an enemy in a region, you empower a different nation to check that nation?
Yes. So
okay, I was just confused. Okay, I'm following.
Well, no, if Japan and Taiwan are allied and they're remilitarized, right? And China wanted to take Taiwan, right? But Japan is right there. They can't do it. But then you have a remilitarized Japan, and we know what those kamikazes do.
Yeah,
right?
they got, apparently their military is simply called the Japanese Self-Defense Force, and it's not, at least according to quick searches, they're not a traditional military. I bet you that's deeply tied to recent history, World War history.
Yeah, and if Germany still could do what they can do, Russia, we wouldn't worry about Russia, right? Because if Germany's right there, what are they going to do? They're going to take Germany. But if Germany's demilitarized, and it's the same thing everywhere.
That's how Europe was like 100 years ago or whatever, right? I just don't know what to say. I guess I wouldn't know. It's a different path, I guess. But that's how Europe was 100 years ago, right? Britain had the two power solution policy, or whatever it was called, and they would always maintain an alliance with like the second strongest, so that they could check Europe. Germany always checked Russia. Italy, France checked Britain. But yeah, anyways, it's definitely creative foreign policy thinking. It's definitely out of my purview and pay grade.
Oh yeah, me too, brother. It's probably a really bad idea.
I'm not saying it's bad. It's creative. I'm not saying it's bad at all. Yeah, and you were in the military, so it's definitely creative.
Well, no, I was in the military, and yeah, dude, fighting a war like the way that things are being pushed right now, it's like, guys, there is no way to take Iran. That's why they haven't done it, because they can't do it. Like literally, like you say Iran is weak and they can't do anything. Fine, I hope they don't. I hope they don't do anything.
Same.
But you literally can't take them.
Gotcha.
Like it's like taking Vietnam, bro. You're not going to do it. They got nowhere else to go. So even if you take it, right, like Afghanistan, we took Afghanistan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
right?
Well, no, all the little Hajis, they run into the fields, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just gone. They're in the mountains somewhere. They're gone. Okay, bye, Muslim. And then they're just like, they got nothing to do, bro. Like, they're just waiting. They're just like, eventually you're going to run away on your little tarmac with the planes, like the
they did.
Humiliation thing. Yeah. And it's like,
and then the vacuum of power will be filled.
And that's the same thing everywhere, brother. People got nowhere to go. They don't have, you could push Russia into the Siberia, but then guess who's coming back?
Whether in 1 year, 10, 100, or 1,000, should the whatever power wane, the Russians would return, you're saying?
100 years later, bro, they're going to be like, remember when they took all that land over there?
Oh, wow. And it's just like, well, welcome to the world. Well, welcome to history, where you're getting at, right? It's like, this is the never-ending cycle of conflict. Well, they say Afghanistan is the graveyard of empires, no? And I guess they maintained their position with the U.S. leaving that area. So,
yeah. Well, hey, man, if you take my house, right, and I'm like living over there in the streets in the park or something, right? I'm just over there. Well, I know that's my house. I remember you take it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, eventually, you might find me at 3 a.m. right back there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's mine.
Yeah, know what? I understand the picture here now.
Yeah,
I see what you're putting down.
Yeah, it's like if you try to take America. Yeah, you could probably take California. You could probably take a couple places, but eventually, these Americans, we got nowhere to go either.
Unless
problems?
You dominate the area for so long, generations, that they start dying out, I guess.
Well, yeah, we're all going to die, huh? But yeah, it's something else, man. And I hope that like some boomers have told me, they're just like, you just need to trust Trump, Robert, and calm down. And it's like, you know what? You guys are right. I just need to trust Trump. And what can I do, huh?
Well, what do you mean? What are you asking me? Are you asking me something here?
No, obviously I can't do anything. I mean, I've been trying to stop this. I've been trying to stop this stuff, Nick, for as long as I have, and obviously I can't do nothing.
Yeah, man.
So
yeah, it's time to like take that lesson in, right? Because if you were the one doing, if there was something to do, if there was something to actually do, you would be doing it. Say again.
Well, I'm just saying, man. I was gonna.
That's actually a
jump off
really
the
amazing
cliff.
thing to say when you really think about it, man. There's freedom there.
No, I was gonna,
there's on the other side of that is freedom. On the other side of giving up like that, there's real understanding.
No, my plan was to jump off a cliff, Nick. This is my plan. I was like, okay, I'm gonna jump off a cliff, okay. And then I was looking in Kansas. There's no cliffs.
Make sure you don't leave Kansas.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, I could jump off maybe like a 3-story, like, little thing, break my hip or something, but that's not going to do the job, right?
Are you serious?
So,
or was this something you were thinking a long time ago?
Well, no, I didn't want to jump off a building. I thought that would be rude to God. I'd jump off a cliff, and
is this something you were thinking a while ago? Or was like, you said, are you telling me that you wanted to jump off a cliff when looking at the world and America and what you couldn't fix?
No, Nick, like 2 weeks ago, I was like, I knew all this was going to happen. Like I have whatever understanding I have, and I knew it was all. I knew I could see all this, and so I'm trying to stop it, and I can't do nothing, right? And I was trying to find a cliff to jump off because I thought jumping off the building would be, like wrong. It's a man-made structure, and so I was like looking for cliffs, and like the biggest cliff in Kansas is like 3 stories high. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to jump off on the soft ground. I mean, that ain't going to do nothing.
What about the other way, though? You said there's the things you can't change. And then from that you conclude you follow the logic path here. You conclude, okay, can't change any of this, jump off cliff. But what about the other path? What about, just wondering if you even thought about it. There's another logical path here. There's can't change anything. Why trip about it?
Well, the other path is I call the anchor baby and thank him for going up there and grabbing our boy and just doing what you can do, Nick. And I appreciate it. And
of course,
I
Robert.
think that man, you just do that, Nick, and keep doing it. And I hope.
You ever heard Jesse talk about enduring?
Oh man, I've been listening to Jesse for a long time, man.
Yeah, man. I know you appreciate it, man. I know you come at this from concern and from wanting to preserve. I've always gotten that impression for you, even if like, oh, don't say that or you're talking crazy or whatever. I do get this impression that you want to preserve Jesse. So I don't think you're coming at it bad. You've heard him talk about enduring, right? That's so deep to me, man. His message on endurance means everything to me. Consider the other logical path here. You could say I can't change anything, and so ergo, I have to jump off a cliff. What about this other path? Have you even thought about it? Like, explain to me. I want you to actually tell me this. Actually, let me try and crystallize the question here because I have something for you. I want you to tell me one good reason why you shouldn't. Tell me one good reason why you, upon realizing there's stuff you can't change, tell me one good reason why you should trip about it and jump off a cliff. Give me one good reason.
I guess I would say, Nick, that in my mind, I think that I can see things that others don't. And I don't think those people are ready for what's coming. And I guess it's just me not letting them, not letting it happen. Like I don't want that to happen. And then
interesting.
I have to let let people who don't understand go ahead and find out what's going to happen. And I don't want to see that, you know.
I see. That's actually fascinating. If I may, I want to continue this. You don't have to talk about this, but following that thinking, when you're telling me, Nick, because I see things that others can't. Let's deal with that one first. But that's not it. You told me more. You told me a little bit more information than just that. You said it's really more like this. It's Nick, I see things that others can't see, and I can't change it. Right? You can't change that. And so with that alone, why would you then feel anything negative about being unable to change people on this? And I guess you kind of answered, because something is coming. Something is coming, and you don't want to see them go through it. You don't want to have to discover it for yourself, whatever. So following still, that's thinking, logically speaking, this so-called thing has not happened. Is that fair to say that this event has not happened?
Well, no. I mean, I can only see what I can see, and I certainly have been wrong in the past, right? So it doesn't mean I'm right. And so, yeah, that's
so that doesn't
that's
make sense. So that quite doesn't make sense. About like, right? Let me jump off the cliff because something is coming terrible for these people, and I'm not even. I hope you know I'm not laughing at you. I'm really trying to just talk to you honestly. Interesting to me.
Nick, I was gonna jump off a cliff. There's no cliffs in Kansas, so now I have to drive to Colorado or something. But I'm not jumping off a cliff. I'm calling you, and I just want to say that you gotta, if your friend's falling down, you just grab them, and then you guys. I just hope you continue on. I you and Hake can really make something out of what you're doing right now, to where you'll be the old guy passing out up there in church.
Just don't be around any high ledges around here in California around me then. if you really want to fall.
If I really,
because I won't let you.
Well, no, it's one of those.
Appreciate it, Albert. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you couldn't take it back once you jumped, right? Like if you're on the cliff and you're like, all right, and you go ahead and jump. I mean, you couldn't. It's something you couldn't take back. And I thought about drowning. And I'm just such a good swimmer that I just don't think that's possible. I would freak out and I wouldn't drown. And you don't want fire, right? I mean, fire's fire.
Doesn't God say to not worry about the things you can't change?
What does God say?
I think God says to not worry about the things you can't change. So I just want to say that. Robert, man. What else? That's it, man. I can't continue this any further. We spend plenty of time here, man. Can you call me again?
Yeah, I bothered you enough, Nick. Thanks for calling me, brother. I'll see you later.
You called me, sir, but call me again.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care, Robert. 888-775-3773. Yeah, man. It's really just, even for my viewers, it's just something I like. It's interesting to me. Worrying, suicide, pain, suffering, caring about the world and the evils of the world. It's all stuff interesting to me. It's just, there's always this notion that there's some sort of thing. They call it good intentions, for example. That's another fascinating concept to me. Whenever I peel back the layer on a so-called good intention, it's not even that. It's not even a good intention. It's really dark usually. Even when people feel bad, when people say, I want to change something, it's never even as like halfway nice sounding than it really sounds. It's actually totally dark. Caring about others, worrying and panicking about others is, for you, it's the ego thing. And it's not even logical. Because if you could logically deduce that I cannot change something, why trip about it? It seems like there's two paths for you. Wow, I can't change this, so trip. Or I can't change this, so let go. I guess, which path will you go down? Maybe that's what will so-called frozen, so-called free will is. It's not necessarily free, but you do have two paths before you, maybe. Maybe at all times. I don't know. I'm thinking about it out loud myself. It's just not true. It's just not true that you have to trip about things you can't change, and if the world doesn't change, that you have to die. It's just not true. It's just an absolute lie. It's an absolute lie. There's only you in the world. You are your whole world. You are your whole world. You should think about it like a I don't know, like a simulation. Like, should the world turn into hell? I guess I will watch that too. I'm just here to see. I'm here to watch. I don't know what will happen. And yes, of course, we want to keep our society. Of course, when we turn on the TV and we vote, we care about these little things like, well, hold on. I actually want my kids to be able to have wealth and blah, 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 right? But even if it all goes to crap, it's an absolute lie that you have to die, that you are connected to all that. That's a different thing. You are your world. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see here. What do you got? We got some super chatters here. Callers, 888-775-3773. Call me back, Robert. Let's see what we have here. Some super chats. Thank you so much for all the support. Steve Strock, man. Hold up. There is not enough surface area in this studio. Steve Strock. Emergency. Alert. We do not have enough surface area. There is not enough surface area in this whole studio for the incredible amount of coffees you just bought me. This is crazy. They would be spilling over. We need to put them on that ledge. We need to start putting it over there. This whole studio would be filled with coffees at every surface. Should Steve Strong have brought them here physically, man? Man, I appreciate the coffees, man, and the support. It's nice to see you, man. How you been, sir? He writes, great job on assisting with Jesse yesterday and taking control of the situation. God bless you, man. I appreciate that, Steve. Amazing, man. Thank you for the support. That's big. Thank you, man. I was just going, I'll just do that. Thank you, man. Appreciate that, Steve. Nice to see you. Nice to see you in the chat and all that. But hope you've been well over there. Amazing. We got super chats from Eli. Says new intro song should be Hero by Enrique Iglesias. I could be your hero, baby. That one? Enrique Iglesias? What happened to that guy? Is that guy even like anything anymore? Right? Is he the one with the big mole? Big mole, right? I can be your... Wait, hold on. I can be your... Wait. I was about to take this this thing off and put it here, but let's just relax with the Enrique Iglesias impressions, okay? Let's just chill. Appreciate the super chat, though. Lin Yan Chin with the super chat reads, fasting resets the body's digestive system to high efficiency mode and reduces rate of aging while you fast because digestion ages us, Sister Robert. Lin Yan Chin, that is fascinating. Digestion ages us. I have this similar impression of metabolism from the stuff I've read and stuff I've gathered. I have the similar, when it comes to biology, I have a similar, and I'm not the only one with this impression, but I have a similar impression of metabolism as a biological function. Yeah, the way calories, the way food is metabolized, that whole process, although necessary, ages you. It essentially, increases, what is it called? A cellular maturation? I forget. And other things. But they say the rat studies, these infamous rat studies, rats that had enough to eat, but not to an excess, and not Not like not being in a caloric deficit, but also not being too excessive, just eating just enough. Lived longer. Sometimes even I think it was mice or rats that fasted. Went days without eating, but still ate. Like not enough to kill yourself, but you were just not so. The point is it seems like we need less than you think. And I remember Trump was criticized for something. He said something about not going to doctors or something like that. Oh, sorry. No, he said something about not working out. I think this was years ago. I forget when he said this. He said he doesn't work out. Something about not working out. How he doesn't exercise because something about the body being like a battery and you could deplete it. The more you do, the more it ends you and withers you down or whatever. I don't know if withers you down is the right way, but it's just you have a limit, right? There's only so much living you could do. And I know they criticize Trump on that, like he doesn't exercise because you have like a battery. Like, what is this great loco? This guy's literally insane. This guy doesn't work out. I don't know what to say about that. I'm not a doctor, but I'm somewhat familiar with some of the literature. Lin Yin Chin. It's definitely fascinating. Appreciate that though. Thank you so much. PH with a super chat says, Nick, love you for helping Jesse on Sunday. Thank you, PH. Eli writes with back-to-back super chats. Persecuted over 2,000 years. Maybe they doing wrong. Israel, a welfare queen, playing victim like the Blats. Eli on Israel. And we got another from Eli says, Nit was conceived at an Enrique concert in Canada. Allegedly. And Harmony, thank you so much for your super chat. It reads, alert, there is not enough surface area for all these coffees. Alert. Thank you, experts. Hashtag Nit the hero. Hashtag Hake the gatekeeper. Hashtag good news. Thank you so much for the support, Harmony, and everybody. Amazing. Okay, I think that's everybody. Let's see here. You guys rock. Thank you. You guys are incredible. Thank you. Alert. I repeat, there is not enough surface area for the coffees. You should see how many coffees these are. All right, let's move it on here, huh? 888-775-3773. Let's see, what do we got here? Hard-hitting news. Let's do some funnies. Let's just do some sillies and some funnies, and then we'll get back to something here. How about some sillies? How about some funnies? Speaking of Iran, Islam, blah, 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 somebody attempted to remind Ilhan Omar of something here. Hold on. Let me try and find it. You have trafficked, because it was a post on X by Ilhan Omar, the lovely Ilhan Omar, hell of a gal. You know Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Abdullahi Omar, American politician, U.S. representative from Minnesota's 5th Congressional District. Voted in multiple times. She wrote to @real Donald Trump, and I'm trying to find the actual tweet so we get the date. You have trafficked in hate your whole life, she writes to Donald Trump. You have trafficked in hate your whole life. Oh, this was in 2019, huh? See, I knew this wasn't breaking news or anything. That being said, it's still a silly, it's still a funny. Check it out. She's talking about Donald Trump, and she writes, you have trafficked in hate your whole life against Jews, Muslims, indigenous, immigrants, black people, and more. She didn't capitalize the B in black. This was before George Floyd. I learned from people impacted by my words. When will you? And she had reposted some thread and people commenting on stuff like this. Some choice words from Imam Mohammed Tawhidi. I feel like I've heard that name too, by the way. Imam Mohammed Tawhidi. Now, an imam is basically like a priest. You know, like is it rabbi? So it's like rabbi, imam, pastor, whatever. Imam Muhammad Tawidi writes, amazing what time can do. Little girl from the deserts of Somalia speaking like that to the President of the United States. If you had tweeted that to the President Farmajo of Somalia, he would have applied Sharia law unto you, the law you cherish so much. Behave yourself, guest. This is a few years ago, but what's he doing over there when we need him over here? No, that's taking the joke too far maybe, but that is funny, right? It's like a cultural clash here. It's like when you read Imam here in responding to Elian, you think to yourself, what the heck is Elian? It's like to your average person, it's like an offense. Like I'm not offended by it, but I think to your average person, they require or want someone to be clear, right? Like, what are you? It's like, what are you? Who are you? What are you? What do you believe, right? It's like, I thought you were a Muslim. And it really, when you read this in connection to this, you think, wow, this statement is like some weird modern globalist person. Like, this is not even a real person writing this. You have trafficked in hate your whole life against Jews, Muslims. This is just the American political apparatus, and just language coming down from there. If she was in Somalia, the same Sharia law that apparently she likes would have been applied unto you for a mere tweet if she had done this in Somalia. And you know what, Imam? I can somewhat agree with that. Now, I don't know about applying Sharia law into our women, but applying God's order to American women. Look, we're just messing around. It's just it's a funny, but I find it, this is awesome. Ilhan Omar, little girl from the deserts of Somalia, speaking like that. How'd you get there? Wow. Here's another one for you. A lot of people are afraid. They're thinking, oh man, did we lose the link? I don't like when this happens. Sometimes a video gets like deleted and you're thinking the link is ready, but it's actually broken by the time you get to the show. Let me see if I can find it. It was a funny video of a young man telling all the people who are thinking they're going to avoid World War III a wake-up call if his attempt at a wake-up call. No, darn. I guess it's just deleted now. They deleted the clip. And when they delete the clip, it's a broken link. But let's see if we can find out the content of the clip ourselves, because it basically starts with a young man into the camera saying, being the bearer of bad news for all the people that are mentally ill, with anxiety, with a history of mental illness, has even been previously in a mental facility, people who are over 30, people who are all the way up to 42, people who else? People who in college, people who didn't finish high school, people who are finishing a university degree or college degree. What else? Women. And I forget what else he said. He named all these groups of people that thought they were going to avoid getting drafted or being in a conflict. And I take back women. Sorry, I don't know why I said women. He was telling them, he's informing them that that's just not it. That's just not true. Okay. The Marines, especially lately, yeah, they're like diagnosed ADHD. Oh, I have anxiety, or that's not stopping you. You're not getting out of it. And it was a funny clip, but whatever. Okay, sillies. How about some more sillies, funnies? Let's move it on here. What else here? That's it with that. Okay. One more silly, one more funny. The supreme leader of Iran, the Ayatollah Khamenei, has been having a bit of a PR moment online with some of his, as people have been unearthing previous posts on his social media, particularly on X. He's had some choice commentary about women, about how lovely they are and how they can really rule over men with their charm and their delicacy and their wisdom. And he's kind of a sensitive guy. When you go through his tweets, he's kind of a sensitive guy. He's kind of he's not what you think it is. He's kind of sensitive. Like, for example, planting a tree is absolutely a religious revolutionary act. They just don't understand him, right? They just simply don't understand him, right? Huh? But anyways, let's move it on here. Funny, I was showing you some of these on Friday, but that was just another one I had to show you. Man has a responsibility to understand #woman's needs and feelings and must not be neglectful toward her #emotional state. Khamenei, supreme leader of Iran. I'm going to need you to explain that one, man. Because, a lot of people are seeking advice on how to deal with women, deal with their wives. They're already married, they're not married, etc. Many women, there's a lot of women out there that they see themselves as, they're just not happy with the world, not happy with the system of their own country. They call it oppressive, they'll call it patriarchy, a number of things. So, there's a lot of people seeking advice and clarity on this topic. Supreme leader of Iran, we're going to need you to clear this up. What do you mean not be neglectful toward her #emotional state? We're going to need a clarification, because if you mean what? To, what's the word? Please her? To try and please her emotional state? I think you're going to be in a world of hurt. Is that common? Because I'm looking at the supreme leader. Now I'm thinking about some of my Muslim friends up in Canada. And they say that, wow, the women, these Muslim men, wow, they got them in hijabs. Like, whoa. They're like so based even. Like, wow, at least they get it about women, huh? They got their women under control. I don't think I saw that growing up, folks. Straight up, like my own anecdotal experience. Many friends, look, a lot of Muslim friends. I don't think I ever saw that. I saw mom with a hijab. I saw Indian mom with the sari. I saw the Punjabi moms. I saw the Tamil moms with the niqabs and all that. No, that's whatever. The point is I saw them. And they still ran the home. I saw some of my young Muslim friends as we grew up, I saw them get married. They're simps. But anyways, whatever. Everybody's a simp to their lovely wife, their beautiful, lovely wife. It's fun. Or whatever, right? Don't simp. But it's a spiritual battle too. It's just how it's got to be, maybe for a little bit. Look, so we just need some clarification here, Supreme Leader of Iran, because pleasing her emotions is must be Muslim, because I don't know if Jesus would say this, because that's crazy. Pleasing a woman's emotions, that's crazy. That's insane. And she'll hate you for it. And you'll bring hell upon your home. You'll bring hell because you don't know what's coming next. You don't know what further emotional pleasing she'll need. You don't know how deep this hell goes, how this maw of desire. It's called an appetite, basically. And it just doesn't, we're going to need some clarification, Supreme Leader. Okay? Because they're talking about low birth rates. They're saying the men, they're out there right now on the New York Times, right? The New York Times, they're out there right now asking, where have the men gone? Hey, men, where have you gone? Please come back. So many men have retreated from intimacy. This is New York Times. Hiding behind firewalls, filters, and curated personas, dabbling and scrolling. We miss you. Where have the men gone? New York Times. How is it? Where are you guys? Where'd you go? Dating is the only thing you can put 10,000 hours into and end up right where you started, says Katie Kirsch, I believe is her name, of writer here, who is 30 and runs a leadership coaching startup out of New York City, ramped down her search for a husband after many of the men she dated either seemed turned off by her ambition or weren't career-oriented enough for her. It's tough out there, ladies. It's tough. It's tough. You want to have many things, right? I want to have the career. I want to have the amazing husband who also has an amazing career, the high earner. We want to both be basically, power couple, a super power couple that's going to, I don't know, run the world. How common is that? How many men, in the world, in America, how many of those men are there? Is there a way to search that up with the power of AI, with our new powers of AI? Is that possible? Can I ask AI such a question? Now, we're not just going to believe anything this is about to tell us, but I'm going to ask, out of all the men in America, how many men... No, let's ask it a different way. Trying to find a husband for my friend. She is a female. Gotta specify. She says she only wants... Let's pick a number, right? Because let's see here. We're trying to learn about the world here. And give me one sec here. They're saying, where have the men gone, right? And you're getting some reports, right? You're getting a taste of what some maybe women are saying, at least this one. She's running into these men who are not career-oriented enough for her. Well, Katie Kirsch, I do apologize for this. Googling all your personal details like this. We're not just going to believe it because we Googled it. They say that when you Google someone's net worth, it's not really accurate. But let's do that just for science, just for a moment. Maybe we get nothing from ChatGPT as we try this. But they say Katie Kirsch, net worth, the. Let me see if I got the right one. Yep. Okay, that's her. That's definitely her. Is that her? That's her, folks. Yeah. Let's see. What's her net worth? Look, we're just trying to find something out here. Not because I care too much about... I just want a number to give AI. Like, we're trying to find a husband for my friend. She's female. She only wants a man that is as ambitious as her. He has to make over, let's call it $150,000 a year. She is 30. How old is she? She is 30 and wants someone her age or older. How many men in America are available for her? Estimates are fine. Let's just see what we get. Let's see if we can get a number of how many men are there available for Katie here. So out of a population of 340 million, you get 49% are males, so that's 167 million. Percentage earning over 150,000. So that would bring us down to 6.84% of all individuals. Assuming similar income distribution among men, 167 million times 6.84%, that's 11.4 million men. The age factor that brings it down to 3.3 million. So around 3.3 million Americans. That's still a nice amount of men to pick from, right? Sorry, I don't know why I'm doing this live. It's loosey-goosey mode right now, okay? We're almost done with the show. It's just they're out there asking. The Supreme Leader has his thoughts about women. Over here in America, the articles are coming out. But where are you guys going? Where are the men? What is happening? And where was I? Is it that much of a mystery? Is it really that mysterious? the men are gone from romantic life or anything. Like, tell me, is it that much of a mystery? To say, where did the men go? Don't you essentially have like a upside down dating scene basically right now? You know, it's like, if you ask average women, the dating scene is fear for them. Oh, it's fearful. You got to be careful. You don't know if you're going to get killed. And you hear them talk about it all the time. It's so difficult. It's so difficult because you don't know you'll get killed. And so what do men do? They've been listening to this conversation for years now. They started young. They started getting out there dating ages, if not older. And they've been hearing this forever. And they're like, the dating scene is basically, don't come off like a psycho killer. Everything for her. And like, ooh, she's, because the world is so evil, right? Because the world is so evil and the men are so evil. So is it that crazy? Is it that that much of a mystery? Really? We'll have to expand on this, okay? We'll have to expand on this whole topic. We really will. We'll have to leave this for tomorrow, I think. But yeah, they're saying, where did the men go? They're retreating from intimacy. And what else did I have on this? Let's see here. Yeah, well, whatever. Look, we'll have to get back to this, honestly. We'll have to come back to this. Because I have this whole thing with Bonnie Blue. We're bringing her up again. Bonnie Blue. You remember her? Over there in London or something? Going viral for, just depraved sex acts, public sex acts. I think she was on some podcast talking about how she is the perfect representation of what everything women were fighting for. And I found that to be such an interesting statement. And then you wonder, what do you mean men have retreated from intimacy? What's wrong with the men, right? Something's wrong with the men. Was it this clip?
I think we should do a breeding competition.
Yeah, no, we're not watching that. Let's move on from that. But she said something like that. She was on this show and she said something like how she is the perfect representation of everything women were fighting for. So you got it, women. We'll come back to this. We'll do this topic tomorrow. But you got what you wanted, in a sense, women. But I guess they're out here now saying, "Oops, where have you gone? Please come back." Whatever. Let's keep it moving here. Let's just do some funnies here in the last few minutes of the shows. Have you seen this one? Do you recognize this image? This image, they say, will go down in infamy. You see this? It's a young Chinese. What? Is he Chinese? I don't know. I don't even know what he is. The point is, he's an American. I don't know. This is the video of that guy graduating. This is a graduate, was what you're looking at UCLA. As the camera, they're at the graduation, as the camera comes up to him, he has his laptop in his hands, and he's showing the camera something very interesting. He's like, yeah, cheer for me, yeah. He's like, what? Wait, hold on. Some of us recognize what page he just turned to on his laptop. Some of us recognize what website he's using there on his laptop. Why is he showing that on his graduation? Wait, hold up. He's showing ChatGPT, folks. That's what you're looking at. This is a UCLA graduate getting the big cheers. He's showing off his laptop. He's like, check it out. Where do you think I got all my test answers? Where do you think I got all my study? Where do you think I did it all? What do you think I just got it from AI? I just got it from ChatGPT, bro. That's it. That's it. That's what he's telling you. He's telling you all this is useless. Now, how the affirmative action made it so that you can't trust black professionals always, and there's the question of, are you here by merit or is it because of affirmative action, which is a terrible thing, right? It's probably one of the main reasons it should be removed. You're harming the labor reputation of blacks, but whatever that did to black people, ChatGPT will do for all degrees. All degrees. It says, "Take this man's degree back" in the caption. Let's mute that song. UCLA graduates ChatGPT. He's congratulating who really graduated. It was ChatGPT. These people are going to become the doctors, the engineers, the bridge builders, the builders, okay? The website builders, the finance system builders, the security at your bank. Let's hope ChatGPT is just really, really smart, I guess, right? Because it's basically becoming the god of society. Yeah, take this guy's degree, right? What a mess. Terrible. Now, what else here? More funnies. How about this one? The woman's ego. Out of control. Absolutely out of control. Tell me, folks, if I'm wrong about this, because I don't think I am. There's a trend on TikTok, and essentially it's about, it starts off like this. You get the first slide or first, scene or moment, and it opens up like this. It's usually like a Barbie or some kind of pretty doll standing next to some rat face cartoon with the caption, "Me and the boy who traumatized me." And it's essentially, if you're gathering, it's a trend of women going on TikTok saying, "This is the guy that broke up with me. And look at how we look. Can you imagine this ugly rat face, this ugly person dumped and hurt and traumatized all of me, all of this?" That's basically the trend. But in its execution, I don't know if it's really hitting. Folks, because I swear every example, it's two people who are basically in the same league. And this is where I'm going to need you guys. You guys tell me where I'm wrong here. Here's the first one. So this is her. This is her. That's her. That's Bethany. She's the one who got traumatized. And this is the ugly guy, the uggo guy that traumatized her. It's like, really, really, queen? You're absolutely gorgeous, queen. Like, there's no way this rat uggo person should have dumped you. Tell me, folks. I think these two are looks matched. Yeah, I think they're kind of in the same league. And I know he's got pretty funky hair and facial hair and stuff, and his nose ring. But the point is, that's just facial hair and all that. Like, they're looks matched. They are in the same league. They're meant for each other. Okay, so maybe it wasn't meant to be. That's fine. But you're going online talking ish about him. Maybe maybe this wasn't the angle. This is, and this whole trend is like that. Like, the ego of the woman. Let me see. Let's get to the trend. Me and the one who traumatized me. Yeah, you guys are matched there, buddy. Let's see here. No, let's not scroll. We shouldn't scroll on X, especially not live. That's actually been a huge mistake before. That is not something you want to do. You want to be careful with that. Tell me, am I wrong here, folks? These people are looks matched. Like, for example, me and the one who traumatized me. Yeah, I mean, you guys are young too. You guys are just little young ones. You guys look like little youngins. Like, what are you even going online fighting about all this? Like, you're young and beautiful. Like, you're the most beautiful on the planet. You're young. Why are you guys even fighting about this? Going like, He's so ugly. Like, you guys are matched. You guys are in the same league. Okay, this is ridiculous. Stop it. Stop it, ladies. You two are in the same league. Like, stop it. What are you doing? Me and the boy who traumatized me. Again. Yeah, he's a little chunky, but that doesn't matter that much to girls. Like, it does, but it doesn't. Like, it's less than a guy to a girl. Yeah, y'all, these two are in the same league. Mexican. He's got symmetrical, right? Mexicans are kind of symmetrical, right? Like, on average, I noticed that even like the ones in the little towns can still have like. Anyways, let me just move on. Okay, look, he's got good hair, maybe just kind of messy. Like, yo, you guys are looks matched. You guys are meant for each other. You guys are in the same league. Come on, stop with this ridiculousness. Stop with the silliness. Ladies, come on. Stop it. Stop it. All right, folks. Hope you had fun today. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much the show. Doing a little bit of a show here. She's a 5, maybe. What are you saying? I'll let you guys decide. It's a whole trend. There's a lot more. But that's it for me, folks. I gotta go. That's the show. I hope you enjoyed it. That's it for me. That's the show. That's the topics, the super chats, the callers. We got more American Anchor Baby tomorrow. But let me be quick with these super chats here at the end. Eli with the super chat says, remember Trump said WMDs was a lie. Iraq, big mistake. I'm waiting to see all the lessons from this. MF with the super chat says, let us be pattern recognizers. I think I disavow that. I don't know, but I think I disavow that. I appreciate the super chat, MF. Thank you, everybody, for all the coffees and the continued support. We're back tomorrow for more American Anchor Baby. Eric Harlan with the last few coffees here says, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Good intentions without wisdom leads to evil. And Eric there is quoting Dennis Prager. All right, y'all. I'm out for real this time. Take care. We got more American Anchor Baby tomorrow. The JLP Show, the Hake Report, and all that. Take care. Peace. See you tomorrow. Little Nick, too, he's got to say bye-bye.
Isn't Nick a Mexican?
Colombian. He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby. And in the